In our last episode, we watched our heroine, Penelope Marlowe, leap over treacherous obstacles of a paper lunch bag and emerge victorious with this little journal. There were scissors. There was glue. There may have been some questionable decision-making, but in the end, she prevailed. And now, our story continues. In last week's video, which I've linked below, I crafted this lunch bag journal, keeping the bag portion as a pocket and adding pockets inside using the sides of the bag. I added some fun trim to the signatures, used an envelope in the middle of the 3 signatures, and added tuck spots throughout. I also showed you this rustic version during my lunch bag crafting session. Well, I decided to make it a companion using another lunch bag, but folding it in a completely different way, yet keeping the same rustic decorations. And now this little nature-inspired journal is going to get a companion of its own. For this journal, I'm using 2 lunch bags. It doesn't have to be 2 bags though. For the rustic version, I used packaging paper glued onto the lunch bag to give it some extra strength. For this one, I'm giving it the double bag treatment. I'm not going to glue the 2 bags completely together, which gives the finished journal that nice squishy airy feeling that I love. I start by opening the bag, sticking both my hands in, and I punch out the sides of the bag until it starts to fold, and it naturally does, as you can see. One side's a little tricky, but I prevail. I have another video where I make a number of these lunch bag journals in this fold-out fashion, and I'll link that below. And now I'm going to give this second bag the same treatment, sticking both my hands in, pushing out, and getting that fold to form. Now I'm going to reinforce the opening of the bag without losing that lovely airiness between the 2 layers. I'm cutting down the sides of the one bag and I'll slide it into the other. Then I'll fold these sections over the outside bag, which gives the opening some extra strength while still leaving that space between the 2 bags. I'm gluing down these folded sections, but I'll also be sewing them to match the companion journal. If I were just gluing and not sewing, which is absolutely an option with these lunch bag journals, I'd take a little more care around the edges. Since I'm sewing this one, I'm not too worried about making them perfectly tidy. This part of the journal is going to become the closure, so I'm gluing these layers together in this fashion for a bit of extra strength. It will be opened and closed quite a bit, so I want this part to hold up to all of that. The opening feels so strong now. I'm just going to fold the closure down and give it a good crease so it holds the fold. I'm folding the bag into its final shape, but I want to make sure I leave a little space rather than folding it right up to the original crease so that the cover and the signature pages don't rub against the fold. And there we have it. The cover is done and ready to be sewn and decorated. I sewed all around the bag first, and then when I went to sew the lace trim, these bags weren't quite as maneuverable as the darker brown ones, which are more like packaging paper. The sewing machine fought me a little, and I ended up with a little crease, but I still managed to get the lace trim sewn onto the front and back. And once again, it's decision time. Which of my peculiar nature images do I want to use to decorate the cover? There are quite a few possibilities, so this may take a minute. You know what? Rather than deciding right now, I'll grab the pockets and some ink and get these glued down first. I can make the cover decision after that. The decision has been made. I'm just finishing inking my selection and then I'll glue them down to the cover. I'm using the same ribbon for the closure of this journal that I used on the little journal. I'll add an eyelet to the closure, thread the ribbon through, and that's that. Simple enough. Prepared the signature pages using coffee dyed and food gel dyed paper. I'm using actual binder clips this time, these black ones with the two little handles, and clipping the pages to the cover. Then I'll use my awl to punch 5 holes because I feel like doing a 5-hole pamphlet stitch today for this journal. Typically with 3-hole and 5-hole pamphlet stitch, I eyeball where to punch the holes. I'm grabbing about 5 lengths of thread for this project. 5-hole pamphlet stitch, a little extra to be safe. I should be good. Alright, I'm going to start sewing but wait! I haven't decorated the pages. Clearly, I got a little ahead of myself there. Okay, I've added some sewing and some trim to a few of the pages, and now it's time to sew the signature into the cover. As I've mentioned, I'm going to do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing here, but there is one little thing I always have to remember when I'm using butcher twine. I need to make sure I don't pull the needle through the last thread, or the whole thing won't tighten properly. If you'd like a detailed walkthrough of how I do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, let me know in the comments below. And now for the finishing touches. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I made this little companion journal and how a couple of lunch bags can turn into something completely different depending on how you fold them. I really like how this one pairs with the original little journal while still having its own shape and personality. As always, I thank you for joining me during this Craft With Me session, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.